Can you tell me who I can buy something from or sell to?
Everyone fled here with only what they could carry. But I reckon Votova, the pond keeper, wouldn't let even Sigismund interrupt his business. I saw him by the granary. You can't miss him. He's skinny as a bulrush.
God bless.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
Csak, mi bújt itt elő? Nem hiszem el! Emberek, vigyázat! Istenem, vigyázzon! Ezért megdögletek! Megőzte mulatság. Itt az ellenség! Na, hogy a faszba? Látom őt! Ott van egy a szeretek közül! Vigyázzatok vele! Ott így, látjátok! Ott az a tisztáda! Itt vagyok! Ne vagy ki! Good day to you.
I'm looking for a fellow who lives here, but I don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
Aye, there is one fellow with a limp. Can't imagine what you'd want with the likes of him. Well, that's your affair. He lives in a cottage on the edge of the village by the road to Neuhof.
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
That's what you call nothing to see. I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter. This is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz, in the service of Hanush's Captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof? Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you to Limpy Lubosh. Or all that's left of him. Sakra.
Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
Who was Limpy Lubosh?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. Can't say I'm too surprised what happened to him. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble. Punch-ups in the tavern and what have you.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole time. But he always kept everyone in the village at arm's length.
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away or holed up at home.
When did you find the body? And did anyone see anything?
Just now. and nobody saw or heard anything. I don't know how they could...
I want to learn to read.
There's a retired scribe in Ujits. He could teach you.
Another thing about Lubot.
Men are like little kids.
God be with you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the...
Of course.
That man Lubosh who was murdered.
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much, but...
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhoff was...
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time...
He was a loner. He didn't even...
That's all.
Good health to you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa.
I don't know nothing about it.
That man Lubosh...
I didn't really know him. He kept to...
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. I was wondering what he was up to take to the faith all of a sudden.
That's all.
bit more careful.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubosh don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man's son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Got bellyache, have you?
What are you up to?
Nasty.
Lost something?
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh. I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. And they almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child.
Enjoy.
May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment?
I'll bring it right away.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujits, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see... Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noel?
The rumours aren't exaggerated. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what...
I see it's every bit as bad as people... Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to...
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like... I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword. I wouldn't expect that of a man of the cloth.
You know what they say. The Lord moves...
But this is a bit more mysterious than...
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to... These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to...
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down... So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent...
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make except... If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust...
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubos told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first...
Word of honor?
Got it for you right.
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where is...
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard.
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them. The tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life with a nice moral to them. Especially if they're about fornication.
Can you...
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started... I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I'm thinking about putting...
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan, the lamentable wealth in which the church, just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal? What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had... Look to your consciences, you robbers. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus...
Oh, the congregation...
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to...
Funny. That loud.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the... I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a...
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. If he got out of Prague and came here for a...
Where can I find out more about his...
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read...
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say it. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my word.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake.
Nonsense. They can't burn...
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late.
What do you suppose? We have a drink.
Ah, that sounds like a...
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padną dziesięć smutek, wiodnielo i rano utek, niech ich małżeński majsat, do wczera żylne staje prak. Už se bojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě jí kůži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Půlky se vábí, ano ráda slávy, a tak vypal suky a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra je tu soudnej den, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět. Enough of this! Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh, come on. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
I'm going to enjoy it. Oh dear, did that hurt?
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry. Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? What's the stuff, my dear? Careful. Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell.
Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh, shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
So all at once the confessional seal isn't so sacred?
Don't mock me. I won't give you a second chance.
We'll never get away with it.
Not if you make a hash of it. No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubo.
Christ almighty.
Wonderful.
Never show up. Swill dog.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait.
Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
So I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hoc facite in meam commemorationem. Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
That boy has a cheek.
Just as we are commanded to obey the priests in matters of virtue, so are we commanded to defy them face to face if they live contrary to God's commandments.
Hear that, Godwin?
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, enemies, injustice, and it is all due to the corrupt. They think sins can be washed away.
Bragg didn't do much for his confidence.
It is the custom of the gluttonous prelates and monks to preach against. Let us remember the marriage at Cana, where our Lord Jesus Christ himself, he, whose companions were poor travellers, simple folk, prostitutes and trouble.
Now that's the kind of sermon I like to hear.
No, brothers and sisters. Jesus did not condemn alcohol. Drink to lighten, for there should be moderation in all things, and it is not.
He's right.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for
down with the prelates. Away with them.
We're fortunate to have our good Father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of.
Aye, all honour to Godwin. Let him.
That is all I heard in Prague.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that was.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a silver tongue.
I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague. He told him nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So gluttony. And fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Lubosh tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now, slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you...
Well, now Lubosh came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubosh kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubosh killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames.
Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko. Pious, Timmy.
Pious. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall, too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself.
Most make up one. Yeah.
Goed op, wat voor big ze het niet?
Upset yet?